Thank you so much. I was not going to wait until 7 o'clock, so I started drinking early. Yeah. And no, no. Well, you poured the wine for me. My absolute favorite wine is the Giuseppe Quintarelli Amarone. And there is nothing that comes remotely close to that. But do you know why? Do you know why? Right? So I ran a machine, because I collect fine wine, and I wondered, why do I love this wine that I love? So I ran a machine learning algorithm on all the wine that I have, which is only what a geek will do, right? You look at me as an Indian guy, and you have a quintessential geek right there, right? Stereotypes are okay. Some stereotypes are okay, right? And I found something fascinating. I ran all the parameters by it, right? The percentage composition of the grapes, the region where it grew, but the region parameterized by alkalinity of soil, the growing season length, minimum temperature, maximum temperature, average temperature, a variety of parameters. And I found there is a single parameter that correlated with how much I loved the wine. A single parameter that explained all the variance. If you do principal component analysis or factor analysis, you will come across this. And the answer was stunningly simple. The percent alcohol in excess of 14.5%. 14.5 is the floor, 15.5 is the ceiling. Simply put, I was not a sophisticated man. The more the booze, the more I loved it. That's it. That's it. Now, you look at the poor consumer going to the store, standing in front of the wine aisle, not knowing what to buy. So what do? They do one of three things. Either they buy a wine they have bought before, or they buy an expensive wine, or they buy a pretty bottle, because we all are suckers for prettiness, right? So the consumer doesn't know what to do. On the other hand, this single number, 14.5 to 15.5, you go buy a $20 bottle of wine that's closer to 15%. And by the way, if you go back to your homes and look at the Amarone you love and ask yourself, what's the percent alcohol in that? 15.5% minimum, right? That is why the Amarone works. And the reason I bring that up is this. The brain looks for a single number in every category to separate one product from the other. A single number. If you give it that number, the brain will be price agnostic. So, in the world of cameras, it's megapixels, all right? So, the Nikon engineer wants to commit suicide. I've created 10 million innovations. The dumb consumer says, how many megapixels is that? That's it. And Apple came out and said, don't even worry about megapixels. Are you a hip and cool young person with 3 lenses? Or are you one of the old fogies with 2 lenses? It is. You determine how cool a person is by just looking at the number of lenses. All right? In the world of colas, it's calories. Coke Zero has 0 calories. You know how many calories Diet Coke has? 1 calorie. By the time you go to the refrigerator, open the door, pick up the can, walk over, pop it open, put the Coke in a glass, put ice cubes in it, and take it to your lips, 1 calorie is gone. It's gone. And yet the consumer says, oh, Coke Zero. So for all of you startups, as you're building your own products and services, ask a fundamental question. Is there a single number for that particular category that you're building the product for that differentiates and separates your product from everybody else? If you give the consumer that number, they'll latch on to it. If not, they'll latch on to another number, and that's called price. So if you want to be price agnostic, give the brain a number it's looking for. That is the first little lesson. I do not attempt to inspire people, mentor people. I'm here to have fun, all right? So that's the purpose of this thing, and that's why they don't even give me a clicker. I have the world's only human clicker, all right? There she is. The next page, please. Yeah, you see? If you're nice, she'll talk about it. So this is why neuroscience is kind of important, right? I'm addressing 400 people at Walmart in Arkansas next week. And I'm going to talk to them about, your brain. You think our brains can process 11 million bits of information. No, it can only do 40 bits. Look at the ratio. What is hitting it, what it can do. Most of what we do is processed non-consciously. Already, in the first 5 minutes, you've decided whether you are uncontrollably in love with me or not. It's done. It's done. All right? So it's funny, I am single. So when I sit across a woman on a date, I tell my date, listen, I ran the world's largest neuromarketing company, analyzing the brains of human beings. I've written a book on how to persuade and seduce the human mind. I'm probably the most dangerous man you could be sitting and having dinner with. So if you want to get up and leave right now, I will fully understand. But they always stay. All right. So let's go to the next one, please. Right. So I talk about why neuroscience is important and why you may want to think about it as you do everything to do with your branding and your marketing, because everything that you do, 95% of consumer decisions are made in the non-conscious. We don't even know why we decide. At least that's what we think. Ancient paradigms, old neuroscience rules from the jungle are working. Apple sends you an iOS update every few months. When was the last time our human operating system had an update? No, we are still thinking about the T-Rex in the jungle. We are looking at snakes running around. We are thinking, is this fruit red? Then I can eat it. That is the same program that's running through us, right? No updates to our human operating system. That non-conscious mind is processing everything, right? These are some people, just go to the next one. I don't want to talk about old people. I am forever young, all right? So go to the next one, please. I want to talk about, these are the kind of things that you want to think about. And so one of the things, my company separates itself from everybody in that we're the only company that blends neuroscience with generative AI, right? We created the world of neuromarketing, so we are doing NeuroAi. Why? Brain makes behavior. Our brains do. So if you understand how human brains make decisions, and you build your products, your features, and your services based on that, then you will seduce the human brain. People will desire what you create. So we have an entire science of desire. And I can talk about that I'm hanging around this evening, so come and get me. But these are the various things as you build your products and services. You really, is this clear enough for you, or do I have to use the mic? Mic? Okay, all right, fine. I'll do that. So if you go to the next page, right, I want to talk to you about, this is what I came here this evening to talk to you about. How does the brain look at branding, right? We talk about great brands, Chanel, we talk about Gatorade. You would say, my God, how did you go from Chanel to Gatorade, right? It's funny, the reason is Indra Nooyi, who was then the CEO of Pepsi, was re-envisioning Gatorade, and she was wondering what of the logos and the brand elements she should keep and what she should throw away. The brain remembers brands through its symbology and identity. Why? Because like us, a baby is born with the fusiform gyrus fully formed, the place to recognize faces. Why? The baby wants to go look for food to the right person, not go to the wrong woman saying, feed me. It's not going to work, right? So faces are so critical. The symbology is so critical. So the brain looks for branding elements the way it looks at a face. And so when you communicate and so everybody says, I'm going to create some dumb logo for my brand. I don't care about it. People will recognize it. No, no, no. It is like your face. And the brain is programmed to look for faces, to identify features. So your branding must have elements that are identifiable, discernible, like a face. Now, the funny thing is this. If you look at it, the visual identity, the brain is entranced by what I call hidden semantics. Can your visual identity communicate little more than graphic excellence? Can you have meaning in it? A symbol that has meaning, the brain digs and loves. So it's very important as you think about the neuroscience of branding to know the first thing is your logo and your visual identity, your colors, your symbols, the semiotics you use. You know how he said many times, I set up all these colors here, these are specially chosen. Now I would want to ask him, why did you choose these colors? Why is it a combination of a little bit of blue, a little bit of pink, a little bit of purple, all these colors behind? Do you have an answer? What? Evoke emotion. Brilliant point. There is actually a more interesting fact. This particular choice of colors is really the color combination a baby sees within the womb as it sees the light filtering through its mother's belly. That is why most people will love this color. And when you get to this color or you see this color, you will find a sense of calmness. This combination of blue and pink and hues of that are the colors that a child whose vision is completely not present still sees filtered in. So you will quickly find that every single thing has a fabulous little neuroscience explanation. And when you understand that, life around us suddenly becomes understandable, right? So, for instance, there is everyone wants the consumer's attention, to catch attention. Look at me, pay attention to me for a few seconds, etc., right? What grabs attention? The brain is programmed to track attention in this hierarchy: motion, novelty, error, ambiguity. If it moves, I'll track it, because that thing can kill me. Right? That's how survival, the old operating system, operates. Novelty. If there is something new, I got to track it, because who knows, I could do something awesome with it. The monkey that was wandering around in the tree on 4 legs one day said, I'm going to try something new. Walk on 2. And here we are. Here we are. All right. That is, of course, if you subscribe to evolution. And in some parts of our country, they don't. But that's fine. Let's put that aside. Right. So, novelty, the second one. Error. Right. If the eye was an upside down eye with a dot at the bottom, you'll have a heart attack because you're the deputy consul. On the other hand, the brain will track it and say, oh, that's a simple error. The eye is flipped upside down. But it will track it. You can't avoid it. Motion, novelty, error. And the next one is ambiguity. Partly covered and partly revealed. The brain digs it. And by the way, that's why lingerie works. There is no surprise what is contained behind what is covered. No surprise. And yet, the brain is programmed to track it. Motion, novelty, error, and ambiguity. Those are the attention mechanisms of the brain. So when you understand that, all of your marketing becomes eminently understood. Did I just piss off 30 minutes, or is it 13 minutes, right? 13, thank you. All right, brilliant. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about, there's a clock out there that tells me when I should stop. And I told him that the surefire way to get me to stop is somebody to come and give me a hug. Then I will stop. But until then, I will continue. So the next big thing for you to think about is an indispensable function, which is an element of branding. Meaning, don't tell me 10 million things your product will do. I couldn't care less. Tell me one thing that makes it indispensable. Indispensable. So in the phones that we have, 9 out of 10 times, what makes this phone indispensable to you? All right? For most of us, it ain't the telephony, it's the bloody camera. Am I right? For most of us? Would you agree? And not even the back camera, the front camera, amazing me, right? So you very quickly find that every product you create must have a single function that makes it indispensable. So as you're all young entrepreneurs building things, the brain looks for that single thing that makes it indispensable. If you give it, I will listen to you. If you got a laundry list of everything you can do for me, not interested, right? Tell me one thing that makes me completely indispensable. And of course, the third element of branding, all right, of neuro branding is emotions. What are the emotions? And it's not just general purpose emotions. At the mere thought or mention of the brand, what emotions arise? At the mere thought or mention, that's what you ask yourself. That is what you want. Now, whether it is Innovate, the brand, or it is Nike, the brand, or Apple, the brand, every great brand strives to have those feelings naturally rise at the mere thought or mention of it, right? That is what the brain seeks. And that's what you build into your own branding. That is the neuroscience of branding. Then you go to the next one, which is what I call the shameless steal. You don't have to build your brand yourself. Somebody has built it. Build it on top of it. Now, my product is called Shamelessly Desire GPT. It is. I'm building it on top of what somebody else has done. In fact, I'm probably the only person that has a cease and desist from Google because I own the domain name Whoogle, WHOOGLE.com. And I created a thing because I thought long ago in the internet, I thought everybody Googles to find something about somebody else. Why don't I create a site that is just dedicated to finding things about somebody else? A practical problem I ran into when I was about to have an awesome date with somebody. I didn't know what the hell they were or who they were. Do I have to go to Facebook, look for it, to go to LinkedIn, look for them, go somewhere else to look for who this person is? Isn't there a simple way I could find out more? I thought of creating Whoogle, just shamelessly piggybacking on Google. Of course, I had a cease and desist, and that's okay, right? Now, the idea is you can piggyback on the halo of another brand, and you should do that. That's being good to your investors and your shareholders, all right? They want you to do what is awesome and best that will propel your product forward. So don't hesitate to shamelessly leverage, because then the brain says, wait a minute, all the good stuff associated with that brand, I'm going to transfer some of that to what you have in question. And it's powerful. The brain works through correlation, all right? It confuses correlation with causation. Just because A correlates with B, I assume A will cause B, right? So cleverly leveraging on that can build value for you to the neuroscience. So what happened to the previous page? Disappeared. All right, can I go back to the previous? Thank you. A few more things, right? This is very important, what I call the age and tone of the brand. You see, in neuroscience we say, and I was talking to this young man who has children 2 and 5 years old. There is completely different brains between 0 and 5. Brains wire at about 1 million times a second. between 5 and 11, massive neuronal pruning happens. Use it or lose it. If any of you have children and they are between 5 and 11 years old, you should be home by now. Don't sit down here and listen to this boring talk. Go home, all right? Develop the next generation. Between 11 to 18, with extensions to 25, is what we call the teen brain, all right? Completely different animal, completely different insights. 25 to 40 is what you call the first golden age of the brain. You will never be better than you are between 25 and 40. Enjoy every neuronal minute. It will never come back. All right. Now, between 40 and 50 is the most delicate age of life. That neuroscientific term is called the shit creek of life. All right. Some of you may be in there. All right. And there is a way out of it. You're laughing. I can tell you exactly what happens there. And for those of you who have been there, I'll take 1 minute and tell you this is probably the most useful thing you got out of this meeting anyway, right? There are 4 big neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. But don't worry about the gobbledygook, right? What happens is that for unknown reasons, as you approach 40, neurotransmitter production drops. You may say, why? Nobody knows why. The general hypothesis was Mother Nature thought you should be dead by now, right? Maybe the T-Rex ate you, the Starbucks coffee didn't agree with you, whatever, all right? So when neurotransmitter production drops, you're biologically programmed to engage in behaviors that boost it back up. When a hungry man or woman steals, it's not a morality problem, it's a biology problem. They are hungry. They are compelled to go get food. When a thirsty person go grab some water, it's biology, asking them to get hydrated. So, what happens when dopamine production drops? Dopamine is the thrill-seeking, pleasure-seeking, reward mechanism of the brain. When dopamine production drops, you will say to yourself, as Alberto many times says to himself, or as I said to himself, my God, I used to be a fun guy, what happened to me? Right? Where did all the excitement go? It seems to have left me, all right? So what do? You go buy a fast car. You go bungee jumping. You say, maybe I should have an affair. I should do something crazy and be wild. They call it the middle age crisis. It's not a middle age crisis. It may be a crisis. It's a biology problem. Your dopamine levels have just gone down, and that's it. Everything is fine with you. Everything is fine with your life. Your dopamine production has dropped. Now, the second big mischief maker is serotonin, all right? Serotonin is the I am fulfilled, I am satisfied neurotransmitter. Now, that's why SSRIs, which are antidepressants, are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They have a little serotonin hanging around in your brain, right? When serotonin production drops, you will suddenly say to yourself, I have a hole in my heart. Nothing is filling it. Maybe my job is not fulfilling me. Maybe my relationship is not fulfilling me. I might just go eat, pray, love, right? You say that to yourself. Everything is fine with your life. You're just missing a little serotonin. That's it, right? You know how much of humanity between 40 and 50 gets divorced, walks away from life, walks away from their jobs, walks away from their homes, walks away from everything they knew, just because of a lack of neurotransmitters. The funny thing is, all the great melodies of life have simple solutions. Simple solutions. So for instance, for dopamine, you need daily novelty. Like a fortune cookie, right? A fortune cookie, you finish your dinner, it's a fortune cookie, you open it, it says, you'll be a handsome Indian man talking about neuroscience today, right? There it is. There it is. It's come true, all right? So it's the daily novelty. You need a little newness every single day. So if you are a product maker, if you're a shampoo maker, you're a tea. I said this to my friends who are some of the world's largest tea makers. In that dumb tea bag, you put into the cup and you pour the water and you stir it in, and the stupid little paper goes into the water and you fish it out and you put it back on the side, right? Even every one of those little paper things there, they had a cool little saying, like a fortune cookie. You will open your tea bag, put it in, you'll be so excited to see what is that little thing for today. You'll be excited. That little excitement will save your relationship. It is as simple as that, right? Now, for serotonin, it's amazing. When you give somebody a hug, a tight hug, serotonin levels go up. That's why you love your pets. When you hug your dog or your little kitty cat, your serotonin levels go up, right? Simple hug restores serotonin. I'm going to give everyone a serotonin boost, but don't worry, I'm not coming over to hug you, all right? Close your eyes for a second, for a quick second. Close your eyes and ask yourself, you should close too. Good. What am I grateful for today? That's it. You can open your eyes. Gratitude, big time serotonin booster. That's why most religions around the planet will say, dear Lord, thank you so much for giving me my food, this amazing neuroscience lecture, whatever it is, right? You keep that gratitude. I'm sorry, I can't take myself too seriously, all right? As I said, I'm not here to inspire or motivate you, all right? Other people will do that. I'm here to have fun with you, all right? So, but serotonin is a big-time booster, and by gratitude is a big-time booster of serotonin. That is but the most important insight for those in the 40 to 50 is this. The storm that comes at 40 stops at 50. You see, most people can't bear being in their relationship because it seems like a nightmare without end. Sorry, it ends at 50. Ends at 50. Now you say, what happens at 50? What magical thing happens? It's very simple. Two things happen. One, your brain takes 10 years to get adjusted to newer levels of neurotransmitters. That's number one. But that's not the real deal. The real deal is that is basically at 50, brain shrinkage begins. And the first thing to shrink is the limbic system of the brain responsible for emotional volatility. You're no longer the crazy asshole you were. You're nice. So that is very funny and very true. 50 to 60, the second golden age of the brain. Amazing. And then 60 and above, who cares? All right, so I shouldn't say that. But anyway, but that's kind of how neurography works. When you understand that, you will understand what, if you go back to the previous slide, she's trying to hurry me through. I will get there, don't worry. The age and the tone and the voice of the brand is very important because you are, through NeuroAi, able to change your tonality based on the audience you're talking to. Once you understand that, the way you talk about the same product to the different age groups will communicate what they need to hear. So there's a couple more things on values, and this is important, the non-conscious cultural archetypes. We call them metaphors. Metaphors from a branding standpoint are important. So there are benefits and metaphors. Benefits are things about me I want to tell you, but I would look stupid if I told you. If I want to say to yourself, you know what, I'm a moderately successful, cool Silicon Valley guy, you would say, oh my God, what an idiot, right? I want nothing to do with him. So what do? I wear a semi-cool jacket. I got a little Rolex hanging around, a little ring that sparkles, and I let you draw your own conclusions, right? Idea is, I let the brands I have speak on my behalf. So ask yourself, when your consumer uses your brand, what message, what is that brand talking on behalf of that consumer? And the next one is the messages I try to give myself. So for example, Fitbit, in the 10,000 steps or whatever it is, we all know it's moderate nonsense. However, we basically love the fact, oh, you know, I'm doing something about my health. That's why gym memberships happen on January 1. And nobody goes there after January 30, right? But the reason it happens on January 1 is you give yourself the message. I'm doing something about my health. Ask yourself, when your consumer uses your brand, what message are they giving themselves? And that's important, very important, right? So I'm going to close out with something that I showed Alberto years ago. I go to the next page, yeah? And this is just, it'll take me 2 minutes to do that. So there's an ancient problem, yeah? Which is, what are the particular emotions? This got nothing to do with branding. If you want to use neurobranding, you can. But it's one of my cool discoveries. I want to close it out with the fact that it's actually a breathtaking discovery. What are the emotions associated with music? Everybody has an opinion, but is there a particular answer, a scientific answer to that? The answer is yes. Our brain associates a particular emotion with a particular sound. If we ourselves make that sound when we experience that emotion. Let me repeat. Our brain associates particular emotion with a particular sound. If when we experience that emotion, we make that sound. The whole world is anthropocentric. You used the word anthropo something when you talked about culture. So I was struck by that. It's anthropocentric. We are the center. Let me prove it to you, yeah? So the first thing is if I'm in a bus in Uzbekistan, I don't speak Uzbek, but I hear this sound. I said, I don't know. She's happy. All right. Can you click it again? Now, we captured that sound. Go to the next one. The next, yeah. It captures that sound. Go to the next icon. Click it. Now go to the next icon and click it. Click the first one, please. In that music, you heard her sing. You heard this laughing voice when you heard that piece of happiness. And that is why when that last one plays, play that again. Something happy, something positive. You say, why did I say something happy, something positive? You heard her voice there. Now go to the next one. This is the same bus in Uzbekistan. I hear this woman. Play it again. I want to go and say, are you okay? All right? I want to ask her, is she okay? Is something wrong? She seems sad. Go to the next one and click it. That one. It's a capture of her sound. The next one, please. And the last one. Yeah. In that sound, you hear her voice. That is how we associate emotion with sound. We have done this for 15 emotions, positive and negative, and thousands of human voices and thousands of instruments. And our algorithms match, therefore, emotion with sound. But it's just a way for you to think about sonic branding, because whether it is Nokia's or whatever, or Intel sounds, you quickly find that emotion and sound are related, and sonic branding is very important. So, to summarize, brain makes behavior, and once you understand the principles of neuroscience and unleash them as part of your branding effort, all of your brands will stand out in the minds of the consumer, and they will love them and not even know why they love them. And that is the special place to be. Thank you, guys.